what is the best way to get groups started in a church that already has successful Celebrate Recovery groups? Should I suggest a different day of the week so individuals could go to both, or avoid coming off as a competing group? So I think a lot of churches have this issue. How would we help, Rodney?
Yeah, well, the fact that your church has Celebrate Recovery, that's something to really be grateful for,
Mm-hmm.
number one. I would always start with the pastor, and I would always start with the leader of the CR ministry, because the reality is your church believes in healing relationships and
Yeah.
getting people to good resources, and you're all on the same team wanting people to heal. So, relationships are the best way to move forward, because there's no magic way to do this. It's just what works best for each situation. For instance, how can we both agree? Because we had that in our church in Idaho. How do we agree to have both programs be successful here? Can we partner? Can we not? Childcare timeframes. Do the programs match? Can we adjust them? And the more you can just work together on those things and be about celebrating one another instead of being in competition, I think that's really important.
Yeah, as I think about churches with Celebrate Recovery, I've often told them that the ministry is really well named because it's a place we go to celebrate recovery, that we're walking in a level of recovery. And the share groups that happen after the main group time are really kind of more open form. They're kind of at will, come when you can, share as much as you're willing. But if someone is in need of recovery, and this is actually in the CR charter language, and so that might be a step for you as well, is to find that in the CR documentation that says if someone is stuck in their addiction, they are going to need a 12-step group, would be CR's recommendation, in addition to the group night. And so what we've been able to say to churches is the Pure Desire groups could be an alternative offering for the 12-step groups, because Pure Desire is not based around the 12 steps. And we've talked about that in other episodes, but I think it's more effective. It has higher levels of commitment and requirement. It takes someone deeper into their story and their trauma. And I've seen that just work really well. In fact, at the church that I attend, they have CR night on Friday. It's been at the church for like 18 years. It's well attended. It's a very meaningful night. And I've gotten to speak at it on a number of occasions. And I would never think of the Pure Desire groups as competing. We always talk about them as being complementary, because then I would be leading a Pure Desire group on Tuesday nights. And I would say in that season when I was doing both, at least half of the men in my group were coming to both. They were going to CR, and what they liked about the Friday night is they could go with their spouse. There was the food and the worship time and a message kind of around recovery, which they really appreciated. But then Tuesday night when we would do group, that's where they could go deep. That's where they were expected to complete their work and come with things ready to share. There was a commitment level to the phone calls and the check-ins, and I really think they needed both. And so that's what I would encourage you to offer to your church. Like, hey, these are not competing, but they can really be complementary, particularly for those that are on the front end of their journey. And I actually had some people find my Pure Desire group or our Pure Desire groups because they went to CR first. That was just the more public thing that they'd heard about. And the CR leaders, because we'd worked together, were aware that when it came to issues of sexuality and pornography, that they could funnel them towards a Pure Desire group. And so I got phone calls or text messages saying, hey, I've heard you lead a Pure Desire group because I went to Celebrate Recovery Friday night. And then they'd end up showing to group on Tuesday. So I really think they dovetail nicely, and you can use, again, some of the charter language of Celebrate Recovery itself to promote that to your church.
Yeah, and just be careful. At our church right now, they have Celebrate Recovery, and it's those people who are in Celebrate Recovery, from my experience, are very passionate about it and love it and are lifers for it. And if you can make sure that your relationship with the people that are involved in Celebrate Recovery is kind, and there's humility and there's encouragement and you're for each other, I think that goes a long way, because I have had people referenced to Pure Desire groups from there. But then I also, it just happens to be that one of our close friends, her dad is one of the guys who leads it. And it's amazing. It's super fun. And every time I see him, he always asks me how group is. And so there's a lot of shared language there. And so I think if you can leverage a community that's like that, it's just going to help your church in general.
Totally. 90 groups in 90 days is what a lot of recoveries say. So the more options you have to get in community, but PD has the right resource, in my opinion, for this area, and takes them deep and has a really great structure for it.